Okay, great. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Got a gavel. I always forget sometimes. And I call this public meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors to order on Thursday, November 14th at 6:36 p.m. I would like to remind our community that the purpose of our board meetings is to conduct the business of the district first and for everyone to learn about the district in a safe and productive manner. Tonight, there are no community members who have signed up to provide comments, and so we will begin with the next item on our agenda, which is the native land acknowledgement. Vice Chair Benaloga will lead the acknowledgement this evening.
We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Malala, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be a community on this land. And we offer gratitude and we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families, both past and present, and that will affect those in the future. And we honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Thank you. And now we will do the flag salute. Director Dobson will lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to our minutes. So in the board packet, you will find the minutes of the October 24, 2024 meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Chair, I move board approval of the minutes from October 24th, 2024 board meeting.
Is there a second?
Bowers, second.
Okay, thank you. Is there a discussion? I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those that oppose, please say no. And the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you. We have another set of minutes. In the board packet, you will find the minutes of the November 7th, 2024 meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Chairway, I move approval of the minutes for November 7th, 2024.
Is there a second?
McVeigh, second.
Is there a discussion? Okay, I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those that oppose, please say no. And the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, board. We will now move on to items in our consent agenda. And the items on the consent agenda are employment changes, policy revisions, and a travel request for the Adrian C. Nelson High School boys basketball. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? And as a reminder, please read all of the items included.
Chairway, I make the motion to approve the employment changes, policy revisions, and travel requests for Adrian C. Nelson High School boys baseball.
Basketball.
Baseball.
Oh, is it baseball? I have basketball on here. Okay, baseball. I stand corrected.
They both can go.
Yes. All right. Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Dobson, second.
Okay, is there a discussion? Okay, I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose, please say no. Okay, the motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, board. So now that we've taken care of some business, I wanted to turn our attention to the next item on our agenda. This is always really exciting, and it's just always a great time to just recognize some amazing educators in our district. So now I will like to recognize the North Clackamas Education Association's featured educator. And before she does that, I welcome the NCEA president, Melinda Ryan. Welcome. And guests, we have a lot tonight. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all tonight. I'm going to scoot over. I am here to honor this evening two sets of kindergarten teaching teams. The teachers you see ahead of you here, Kristen Blaine and Katie DeSantis and Allison Wortell, teach at Oregon Trail Elementary. And teachers Stephanie Olson, Karen Runyon, and Angela Vu teach at Duncan Elementary, though none of them were able to be here this evening. But both groups of kindergarten teachers were nominated by their colleagues in their buildings for well, I'll tell you why here in just a second. I'll just get reading. With class sizes that tend to be large, and now more than ever, students who are coming to school with various challenges, the kindergarten team perseveres. More and more students with special needs are entering general education classrooms, but with hardly any more adult support than our buildings have had in the past. Teachers are working hard to implement behavior support plans, differentiated instruction, and support for teaching self-regulation. This year, our kindergarten teachers started their year with some of the cutest and most diverse learners they have ever experienced in their classrooms, and with little additional support. Our kindy teachers are working with nonverbal learners, students who elope, students who experience such dysregulation that they're having room clears, students who have intense medical needs, and more. And despite going home in tears more often than not, they still show up to work the next morning. This year is tough, probably the toughest year of their careers for this group of teachers. Yet they still find time to advocate for more support for their students' needs as they work to fulfill the numerous accommodations and adaptations required to make the classroom run. I can't begin to explain how difficult it is for me to watch this unfold and have limited ability to help them. But I hope this award raises the awareness that there are amazing teachers who are working countless hours to find a way to support their students, and even at the high cost of time with their loved ones and their own mental health. I also hope that this award raises the awareness that inclusion is a beautiful thing, but it must be fully supported with the additional staffing and tools necessary to make it a success. And those are the words of the teachers who nominated these folks here. And I, as a fellow kindergarten teacher, want to add that what you just heard about the challenges being faced in these kindergarten classrooms, so these three teachers and the three who aren't here, is being replicated around the district. Also, for every student whose first school experience in general education that lacks the appropriate staffing and resources to fully meet their needs, you will find a dedicated teacher who's doing their best and working hours into their evenings and weekends to learn new techniques and to develop new systems to create the best possible kindergarten experience for every student in their class. And with that, Katie DeSantis has a little bit to share.
Good evening, members of the board, administrators, and fellow educators. The kindergarten teachers from Oregon Trail and Vern Duncan Elementary are honored to be here as the recipients of the NCEA Educator of the Month Award. We would like to express our gratitude to our school administrators, Max Whitehouse and Katrina Edwards, the special education teams at both of our schools, and our kindergarten paraeducators. This recognition means a great deal to us, and it's important to acknowledge that this is not just our achievement, it's a reflection of the incredible teamwork and collaboration that defines our school communities. American author Robert Fulghum was quoted as saying that kindergarten children are confident in spirit, infinite in resources, and eager to learn. His words epitomize the very things that bring us joy in the work that we do. Here are a couple quotes directly from our kindergarten students to show just how special kindergarten is. "Your hair is so pretty today, it looks like a fluffy hamster." "I'm thankful for you and my dad, but more my dad because he has a cool mustache." We are often called by many different names aside from Mrs. DeSantis, Mrs. Wortell, and Miss Blaine, including but not limited to Mrs. DeSentence, Mr. Hotel, Miss Blame, and sometimes even mom or grandma. In all seriousness, the amount of investment by NCSD in early childhood education is paying off. Literacy scores have improved the last 2 years due to intensive teacher training and implementation of a science-based literacy program that the district adopted. This means that more students are leaving kindergarten with the literacy skills necessary to succeed in first grade and beyond. Last year, district kindergarten teachers and ELD teachers were able to write an integrated social studies and science curriculum that is play-based. Students are thriving with this model and are given the opportunity to explore social studies and science content in developmentally appropriate ways. Despite these successes, this has been a year unlike any other. We would like to address a critical issue that is affecting the success of our school year. This fall, kindergarten teachers across the district began their years with a glaring increase of students with special needs and students who require one-to-one support in order to simply be safe in the classroom, let alone access any academic or social emotional content. On a daily basis in our general education classrooms, we are encountering children running out of the classroom and building, navigating toileting protocols, as well as experiencing room clears and violence towards teachers and support staff. While it still has yet to be directly communicated to kindergarten teachers, it appears that the district has quietly begun to move towards an inclusion model district-wide. The inclusion model is designed to ensure that all students, regardless of ability, have the opportunity to learn in a supportive, collaborative, and equitable environment. It promotes diversity and fosters understanding, and it's an essential part of providing a well-rounded education. However, in its current form at our schools, we are facing significant challenges because of inadequate resources. The lack of resources is having a direct impact on both students and educators. In regards to staffing, currently our schools do not have enough special education teachers, paraprofessionals, or other specialized support staff. Oregon Trail's Learning Specialist FTE was cut from 2 to 1.5 in the spring of last year. Teachers are feeling overwhelmed, to say the least, and while we are doing our best to meet the needs of all students, the lack of support and resources means we are often stretched too thin. This affects the quality of instruction for all students, and it is leading to unprecedented levels of burnout among educators. In regards to training and professional development, teachers are often left to navigate the complexities of inclusive education without adequate training. While many of us are passionate about the inclusion model, we need more professional development opportunities to effectively differentiate instruction and address the diverse needs of our students. In regards to our students with disabilities or other special needs are not receiving the support they need to thrive in an inclusive setting. Without adequate accommodations, their progress may be hindered and their sense of belonging in our classrooms may be diminished. This means that students who require individualized instruction or additional support often do not receive the level of attention they need to succeed. We believe we can address these challenges if we take action together. We would like to propose a couple of potential solutions. Number one, increased staffing. We need additional special education teachers, paraprofessionals, and support staff to work directly with students who need extra help. This would ensure that every student has access to the individualized support they require to succeed in an inclusive environment. Number two, invest in applicable and useful professional development. Teachers need training in inclusive teaching practices, differentiation, and the use of assistive technology. Ongoing professional development will help us meet the needs of all students and make the inclusion model more effective. We urge the school board to prioritize the allocation of resources for the inclusion model that has been implemented at the kindergarten level. We'd also ask for open communication and transparency moving forward when significant changes such as these occur. We have a responsibility to ensure that every student, regardless of their abilities, has access to the education and support they need to succeed. By providing the necessary resources, we can create an inclusive environment where all students can thrive. In closing, we leave you with these words from Diane Richler, a leader in the field of inclusive education and the former chair of the International Disability Alliance. Inclusion is not a strategy to help people fit into the systems and structures which exist in our societies. It is about transforming those systems and structures to make it better for everyone. Thank you again for your time and recognition.
Thank you. Yeah, we can clap. Thank you so much. Yes, don't go anywhere yet. I just want to be able to just really, again, take time to recognize and honor you three, and also, of course, Melinda for being here. Katie, thank you so much for reading that letter. I'm not sure if it would be possible for that to be emailed to the board. I don't see any issues with that. So if you want to please send it our way. That would be great, just so that we can read it, more thoroughly. But also just take everything that you have said seriously and to heart, because we absolutely want to make sure that our teachers, and especially the littles that are starting out their school year, are just off on the right start and having a positive experience, and also that for you all as kindergarten and teachers are getting the support and the resources that you need. So thank you again for coming here, just for sharing, not sugarcoating anything, but just saying things like it is. It is incredibly helpful for us to hear directly from you all. So thank you. I also want to just see if any other board members would like to comment or share anything. Yes, Director Bauer?
No, thank you. It is hard work. And I get just a little slice of it. My husband and I volunteer at Scouters. We did last year in kindergarten at lunchtime and the playground. And that's just a little slice, and it's amazing. I mean, what you have to do. And I'm thankful for the work that you do and all of that. We were at a meeting today, Stand for Children, and there was a hard lobbied ask, and that's forming for the literacy that you're talking about. That is not fully funded. They're asking for 300 million more for that, so that's something we can all get behind. But again, it's our budget. We have a budgeting problem in our state, and we always have. So I'm hoping, and I keep saying this, we need to all go down to Salem and we need to keep lobbying for our kids. But thank you for what you do. It's magical. And, I'm really tired just for that hour that we're there.
Thank you. Any others? And is Director Wachter? No, okay, he's gone. Great. Well, thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for your hard work, commitment, all you do. And like I said, for giving us ideas, feedback. That's why we're here. So thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is quarterly financials report. And I would like to welcome our Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt McCara.
Good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
I would like to share some highlights from the financial report for the quarter ended September 30th, 2024. The first quarter actuals are on track to an ending fund balance projection of approximately $72.3 million. The revenues and expenditures are both largely in line with expectations for this point in the fiscal year. Some things that are not reflected yet, but which will have an influence on the quarterly financial reports through the remainder of the year, are things like the effect of enrollment on state school fund support, the overall trend in personnel expenses and other non-personnel expenses, as well as the impact of planned deferred maintenance work. As part of the financial report, you also have the investment reports showing the type of investment, maturity date, and the fund in which the investment is held. Our cash flow is adequate to cover our expenditures, and we will begin a new round of investments as we continue to receive our tax turnovers. Early estimates from the county are close to our budgeted taxes, including local option levy. I'd be happy to answer any questions, should there be any.
Board, do we have any questions or comments for Matt? Director McVeigh?
I can't remember what board meeting it was. I think we heard that our PERS liability increased quite a bit over planned budget. Can you refresh the board on that?
Yes, I should point out that the PERS increase will take effect in the next biennium. So this fiscal year is unaffected by that. But that's a good, certainly a important consideration as we look at the financials over this year, knowing the increase that we are expecting next year, which is approximately $8 million for us above the increase we had already projected for next year. It is yes, we are not alone in that.
And I just want to point out that's for 1 year. So we don't yet have the impact of the second year of the biennium for that.
Yes, that the overall increase, including the projection, is in the neighborhood approximately of about $12.5 million.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Any other board members? No? Okay. Thank you so much again for being here, for providing our quarterly financials. This is something that we take a look at as a board every quarter, and just appreciate the information. So thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay, next on our agenda is our legislative agenda, 2025 and 2026 sessions. Board, this is a discussion item as we are getting ready to talk to lawmakers in Salem about what is important to us. So I now welcome Chief of Staff Tiffany Sharman, and again, our Executive Director of Finance and Business Services, Matt McCara.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight to talk about our legislative agenda for the 25 and 26 sessions. As mentioned, the Oregon legislature is scheduled to be in session and start in January. This is an odd number year, so a longer session, broader topics, more in depth, sets the tone for the full biennium to come. Every 2 years, your board adopts a legislative agenda. This has been going on for a number of biennium, and it really speaks to what we are looking for, both funding-wise and policy-wise, from the state legislators. Tonight, Matt and I are here to talk a little bit about the development process of the proposed legislative agenda, review the proposed legislative agenda, and then open, of course, your ability for discussion and questions. And then we would come back in December with a fully baked document for you for adoption. Legislative agenda development, a small team came together earlier this fall, met 3 times to steer the engagement around the legislative agenda development. That team were Director Dobson, Director Wachter, and Director Bauer, along with Matt and myself, and then a leader from the PCLA, the Parent and Community Leadership Alliance, Erin Lee, who I think many of you know, who's a dedicated parent, very engaged. Over the course of those 3 meetings, we developed an engagement plan. You'll see there that the team looked at several initial possible concepts, culled those from our past legislative agenda, some state organizations' legislative agendas, other districts, and then things like what were we hearing in the news, right? I mean, it was pretty broad where we grabbed these topics from. And then went out and sought some input on those topics, a survey out to about 250 members of our community. These were executive leaders, faith leaders, business representatives, our labor organization leaders, here from within North Clackamas, our union leadership, nonprofit leaders, all around, asked for their input, and then also the input of 2 existing teams here within the district, the Youth Equity Advisory. A number of you were present for one or both of these. Educational Equity Advisory team. We took all of that information, spent some time with it, vetted it back against those initial priorities, refined, and came up with some wording that you have in your packet tonight. I'm going to walk you through the format of that here in just a second. The proposed legislative agenda is focused around these four priorities, which I think you're pretty involved with and know in depth, together with a financial priority. We kick off with a financial priority, and then we have a stance that we have at the very beginning of the document that really, for lack of a better term, some people call them elevator speeches. They are it's kind of our tight abstract of what we're looking for. A lot of words here. I do want to call your attention to, it points out our mission, asks specifically for reliable funding that provides staff levels that allow for strong relationships between students and their educators, that provides for strong core instruction, emotional and mental health supports. You'll see a lot of those words here within our abstract. Once adopted, all of you are welcome to use this in any format. We find folks cut and paste pieces of it. So this abstract notion has been helpful in the past. Then, once you get into the specifics of the legislative agenda itself, there are 5 specific asks, the 4 points of the compass that you see routinely, and funding. Matt's going to address funding.
Thank you, Tiff. North Clackamas will advocate for funding that is adequate, reliable, and flexible in order to continue providing a robust K-12 education for our students. While North Clackamas most highly supports the implementation of the full funding of the quality education model at $13.5 billion, the school district will seek a state school fund of at least $11.4 billion, which would minimally maintain current service levels. Adequate funding has historically been a struggle. This year, however, we have seen improvements to the development of the current service level initial estimate, including the governor calling for an 11.3 current service level funding floor for the biennium. Since that number was derived, however, new, much higher employer contribution PERS estimates have come in, and we now know that number would need to be at least 11.4 billion statewide to hold most programs steady. That number is not yet settled, so you will notice that that it is highlighted in your packet. Before coming back for adoption of the legislative agenda in December, Tiffany and I expect that we should be able to give you what the statewide figure is, so that the agenda you adopt reflects the most current thinking. Additional and important areas of interest include fully funding special education, summer learning opportunities, and school facilities. Also critical is not passing any additional unfunded mandates and seeking funding for past unfunded mandates.
Let that all set in just for a second there. It's a lot. We then move into student experience and success. While all of these are very important, I do want to call attention to the second bullet, ensuring adult to student ratios that allow for strong instruction and positive relationships, definitely echoed in earlier comments tonight, and something that I think we all are routinely concerned about is making sure that we have enough adults to make sure that we have a quality program in our schools, including student voice and decision-making, protecting and expanding anti-bias and anti-racist curriculum and policies. And then that final bullet, protecting existing programs, including student support services, high school success, sometimes called Measure 98, you've heard that, early learning programs, that's that literacy grant referred to earlier tonight also. Student investment account, you've had presentations on that particular specialized stream of funds.
people and culture, promoting educator diversity and advocating for programs that support diverse school staff. We had a report on this topic just in the not last meeting, maybe the meeting before, I think. Support statewide education workforce retention and grow your own programs. This board has had conversation about both of those topics, and investing in funding models that provide for strong employee compensation. We know it's important. Family and community collaboration, expanding access to preschool opportunities for families, again, echoed earlier tonight with our earliest learners and their arrival in kindergarten. Invest in out-of-time school activities, including after-school and summer enrichment activities provided by school districts and community-based organizations. Expanding affordable childcare options. And then within resources and services, promoting and expanding resources to support emotional, mental, and physical health needs in the community. This has been a priority for at least the last 3 legislative agenda of this board. And I think this board's advocacy on that topic helped with seeing the Student Investment Account, Student Success Act really come to fruition. So your advocacy matters. Encouraging policy development. This is a nod to a number of things, including what you heard from some youth last meeting. Encouraging policy development that protects student health, including addressing the availability of drugs, flavored tobacco, and alcohol to youth. Enhancing programs that address food and housing insecurity, and then promoting strategies that enhance school safety and security, including cybersecurity. We'll, of course, be looking for your feedback on all of this, and we'll take notes here in just a moment. I do want to call your attention to where we're headed. We will come back next meeting for proposed action. And then between mid-December and early January, we will work on some communication tools to support with the advocacy, some data, maybe some talking points around how percentages of the state school fund have changed over time that are dedicated to education. We'll see the final wording here and then build you some tools for that. And then, of course, we will start making sure that you're prepared and ready to advocate together with the PCLA, Parent and Community Leadership Alliance. So with that, Matt and I are available for feedback, discussion. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you so much. I will open it up for questions, and Director McVeigh.
So this is great, but I'm just wondering, and I don't know what format it could be in, but if I was a lawmaker, I'd probably want to know, so how many summer people did you serve, and how many did you have to turn down? How many people are on any data that could talk about our wins, losses, or missed opportunities, I think could be really helpful. And I don't know if that's in footnotes or if that's at the end. How many kids go hungry, or how many we feed and how many didn't get fed. I don't know what the data is that would be helpful to a lawmaker, but these words are great, but numbers often speak louder than words. So that was just my thought.
I want to echo Director McVeigh's comment on that, because I think overall, all of these sound amazing. And I'm like, yes to every one of these. But I also think having something that's a little bit more in real, a real snapshot of how are these applying to our district, within the last year, maybe not for every single item, but for some that are like, gosh, we really want to amplify, the summer learning, right? Because of, the number of kids that we were able to serve, and many more that were waitlisted for whatever, because of the lack of resources or whatever it may be. But yeah, just something that we can kind of customize it and tailor it a little bit more to highlighting the district's needs, I think would be really important. I have a question on the student experience and success slide. the third bullet there says include student voice in decision making, which is great. And I know that we as a board have a student equity committee and various other committees that we're engaging our students in. But can you tell me a little bit about what this would entail in terms of legislation for the state? Or if you have a sense of what that policy would look like.
Sure. I don't have a specific example, but one of the pieces would encouraging legislators to listen to their youth as well as develop policy. So, there could be policy around an advisory council, or while the school districts now have equity advisory committees, do legislators have equity advisory committees? Asking, you see, this is very much off the cuff there. But encouraging the legislature to make sure that they are including student voice. That's open, of course, if any other suggestions.
Thank you. If I can offer a suggestion, I know that we, a lot of us have gone to the OSBA conference, Oregon School Board Association conference, and every year I hear of newer school districts who are getting students on their boards, non-voting members, of course, and that was an idea that I think we revisited last year as a next step in continuing to us as a board. Getting a student representative or two to serve. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know that we've also had some more formal conversations with the student equity committee, showing up and presenting more, maybe on a yearly basis. But those are just some of the things that come to mind. And again, I've just always really admire districts who have been able to get that system in place for students to be formally engaged rather than just, opening up for them to come and share their thoughts and perspectives. So. And yes, other board members, if they have other questions or comments. Okay, I'm Vice Chair.
Well, first of all, absolutely, everything and more, right? I think we're all aware that QEM, which we've been quality education model, which we've been talking about for decades. I think it's really important for the community and for for everyone to understand the decrease in the state school fund, right? That education now has. It seems like it's a lot of money, but we need to understand that it's less and less of the available funds, right? And the percentage. I do have a question on that same slide that Chair Way had mentioned. Ensure adult to student ratios that allow for strong core instruction and positive relationships. I'm hoping that we want that to be local control, but what we're asking for is tying that back to funding, right? We want to tie that back to funding because we know after being at the Beat the Odds luncheon today, what matters the most is community and an adult that really cared. And that made a huge difference for these students today who received a scholarship through Stanford Children at the Beat the Odds luncheon. Their stories were amazing at how far they've come. But it really struck me as to how much that relationship matters to have an adult in the building. So again, I know we need to tie it back to funding. I absolutely understand that. I think having people truly understand the state schools formula, the state school fund formula, and how that intertwines with the full budget of the state of Oregon, I think that'll be a really important piece. And I think we've seen just the advantages and the benefits of having a great summer program that can really wrap everybody in who wants to be there. And I think, and feeding our kids, just feeding them every day and families not having to worry about the financial burden of feeding their children. So at school, for the schools that serve lunches. I think I think we're making great strides, but I do think that, that Oregon can do better. And I think our legislators can do better. And I think that we need to be sure that we're the voices down there, that we're taking those stories, telling them. I think Director McVeigh said it perfectly, the things that are going well, the things that are challenging, and the opportunities that we miss in the district. Because we know that everybody comes to work every day to try as hard as they possibly can to help as many kids as they possibly can and do the best job that they possibly can. And I think that's all we can ask for. Now we need from our people, now we need the dollars so that we can put more bodies in the room and do more of these programs that really matter. But thank you so much for putting this together. And we'll be down there as often as we need to be. We'll be down there.
Director Benaloga, I can clarify too that bullet, we could add a word or two to clarify funding specific there. We could do that. Unless I hear any, yeah. All right.
Director Bauer, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Wei. I did want to respond to the youth voices because I kind of remembered a conversation we had earlier that we were going to, and I might have it wrong, and you might have to remind me, that we were looking at our youth equity and the educational group, but especially youth equity, to directly give us input to the board. But eventually, maybe we will be, hopefully, maybe having a student on the board. But that group too is one that they're so valuable. They went down to Salem with us the last 2 years, and they are amazing. And they had their reports, and they gave personal stories. So I think Director McVeigh is absolutely right. We need the data. And usually when we go down as a group, we have that. We tell them a cap of 11% in special ed means this. In our district, and we have 15, 16, or 17%. There's this amount of kids that we need to make up that difference. There's this mandate, that we're not covering, and it's costing our district this many millions, whatever it is. And we try to do that, but having that and sharing it with as many as we can is important. And I wanted to also point out, again, it does take a whole process, educating our community, educating our staff, and we were talking about our superintendent today about this, and she agreed that, and we have a couple opportunities. The community conversations, January 22nd, will be on legislative agenda, some budgeting, I think, updates for us, and then advocacy. And I'm hoping the day after, I'm on the Legislative Policy Committee for the State School Board, and we are planning a regional legislative forum for school board members, community, and students, hopefully the day after. We had, there were some problems finding a location, but it will be at the Education Service District building, I think, the day after. We need to see how many legislators are available that day, and we're beginning to contact them now once we got the date. So there will be opportunities. We will be educating. We'll try to get data. I love all of your input, but yeah, we have to work together for this. These kids are just too important. Here's an opportunity again to set our budget for the next 2 years. And there's a lot of variability. I know one discussion we had on the committee was, what's going to happen to our federal funding? What's going to happen if the Department of Education is no longer there? Special ed, just a few things that I can mention, and there's much more. We do get, money for that, for programs of, we were getting for food. There's the definition of a foster child, the policies and the resources come with that, Title IX. There's so much involved that we still don't know. So that was something we talked about. But thank you. And thank you, the committee, for your work. It's always interesting, and we keep learning. And thank you for guiding us. I appreciate that.
Director Dobson.
Well, I had the privilege to be on this working committee. And so I don't have a whole lot to add onto what we've shared here today, but I do just want to say that it was a pleasure and I think a privilege to work with you and come up with this list. And I really appreciate the guidance and the thoughtfulness and trying to anticipate, what is to come and how we can best meet the moment. So thanks for your very hard work.
Well, as you can see here, we have just so much passion and experience and knowledge with our board, but also, of course, our staff and our community who have really just engaged with this process from the very beginning. So thank you so much for this presentation, and thank you for taking our input and revising a couple of things. And we can also see what are the next steps that are happening. So this was a very robust discussion, and so just want to thank all of our board members for asking really great questions. And there's also some next steps that I know the team will be coming back to us with before the next opportunity, which is to vote on this agenda. So thank you so much again. I also want to just thank every single board member here. I know that when we had a call to get board members to join the Legislative Policy Committee, we had a big problem, a good problem, because so many of us wanted to join that committee, and I had to say no. So thank you for those who have stepped up to serve in that role, and for those of us who, like me, who weren't able to get on that committee, we know that we will be engaged and that we will be, supporting a very, very important agenda for the upcoming session, so that our students, our teachers, so that all of us can have all of the resources that we need. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item. And next on the agenda is the Oregon School Boards Association election discussion. As a member of the Oregon School Boards Association, or OSBA, the NCSD Board of Education is eligible to participate in the election of officers to the OSBA Board and Legislative Policy Committee, and to vote on resolutions that amend the OSBA Constitution or adopt legislative priorities. The board may consider ballot items separately and may decline to vote on any of them. After the board has taken action, the board secretary will submit the vote via the OSBA online ballot. So board, this is just a discussion item. There are 3 items that we will be voting on at the next board meeting, and I will just read all of them for the record. So the 3 resolutions are Resolution 1, amending the OSBA due schedule; Resolution 2, creating the Oregon School Board Members Pride Caucus and designating a seat on the OSBA Board of Directors and the Legislative Policy Committee; and Resolution 3, which is adopting the proposal amendments to the OSBA bylaws. This is not a vote, but this is just additional information. So there's a Board of Directors position 7 vacancy that is currently on the OSBA board. There isn't a candidate. We're not voting on that particular piece, but those are the 3 resolutions. These will come back as action items for a vote at the next December 12th board meeting. And you can find all of the materials and information about those resolutions in your packet. So is there any discussion?
So
Yes.
if we want to vote on them separately, will we request them next meeting?
Yes.
Or how will that, so we'd make a motion to vote on them separately, or?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Looking at our board secretary, yes, we can vote on all 3 separately after a motion has been made. Okay. Moving on, we are going to get on the next item on the agenda, which is the superintendent evaluation process. So board, you will find the timeline in your packet, and this is just as a reminder, a yearly process that we go through to evaluate our superintendent, which is one of our only functions as a school board member is to make sure, well, there's a lot of functions that we do, but this is the one that is the most directly connected to a staff person that we oversee and hire and evaluate. So that is our superintendent. So information is presented here for your review. I also want to say that Director Wachter and I are the two board committee members that are on the superintendent evaluation committee. And so we will also be taking a look at additional materials that have come our way, and we will share those out with the board as well. And is there any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none, we are going to continue to move us along. So the next item is a discussion / action item, and it is a contract award for 6 propane buses using funds from the EPA grant. And for this item, I'd like to welcome our Chief of Operations, Teresa Neff Webster. I hope I'm saying that right, who will introduce our guest.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I am excited to be here with Kathy, who is the Director of Transportation for the district, and we are excited to talk about moving our fleet into a more modernized state. We have a total of 154 buses, and they need to be updated and moved to a space where they're going to be more viable for us in the future, both from a sustainability perspective of use, but also of a use for our students. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Kathy to talk us through it.
So we sat here about a year ago and asked for permission to apply for this grant, and I received word that we did not qualify for the grant because we were not a preferred district. And a few weeks later, I got another email that said, hey, guess what? You got it. And so I was excited because this is about the 6th time I've applied for a grant. I actually got one. So I do feel like I won something. And that's what we're here for today. We did get approved for 6 buses. We are awarded $270,000 total for the buses. We chose to go special needs with wheelchairs, and they're needed. Our special needs students are growing all the time. So we have some buses, and we'd like permission to be able to get those.
Yeah, yes.
Hi, Chair. I'd like to make a motion to move this item to an action item.
Oh,
we don't need to do that?
I'm
All right.
sorry. Okay.
Well, then,
We could just make a
I'd like to move approval of superintendent's recommendation to purchase 6 special needs 24 passenger buses with wheelchair lifts at approximately $206,759 each from Western Bus Sales via Salem Kaiser School District Contract RFP 442 Amendment 5 for a total of approximately $1,240,554.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Dobson, second.
Thank you. It's properly moved by Director McVeigh and seconded by Director Dobson. Is there a discussion? Director Bauer?
Thank you, Chair Way. Thank you for getting that grant, and that is helping a lot, I'm sure. Now, and also I think for the public, and you have this in our information, 70% of this cost is reimbursed by the state. So I just want to remind people. But that grant covers some of the infrastructure that you have to build too, right? For these propane buses? Is that right?
It does not. It covers the buses.
Oh, it
right
does?
now,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have the infrastructure, or that's part of the?
I would love for you all to come visit
If-
anytime.
Yeah.
We are right now getting a new propane tank put in so we could fill our own buses.
Okay.
I am excited about that also because that's been a challenge to get done. And the tank is being put in now, so we'll have that.
So you'll be all ready. Okay.
But that wasn't paid for by a grant.
Okay, that was a separate cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I just also want to say thank you and congratulations. This is a big deal to be awarded this grant. And also just want to appreciate you, Kathy, for the special focus and the attention on making sure that this is also meeting the needs of our special needs students, and having those accommodations available is just going to be so incredibly helpful. So thank you for that. Great. So, board, I call for a roll call motion on this, and because there is money and funding involved on the motion, I will call each of you separately for either a yes or no. Director Bauer?
Yes.
Okay. Director Dobson?
Yes.
Director McVeigh?
Aye.
Director Benaloga?
Aye.
And I am also an aye. The motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Thank you.
So much.
Yes, thank you. Okay, board, the next item on the agenda, well, we are just rolling along, aren't we? There's a lot of items up this evening. Okay, so next on the agenda is our budget committee appointments, and this is a discussion action item. The board declared the budget committee positions 13 and 14 vacant at its September 26, 2024 meeting. New appointments will serve 3-year terms expiring June 30th, 2027. Position 14 will be filled by community members at large, and position 13 will be filled by a member of the Educational Equity Advisory Committee in alignment with state law and board policy DBEA. The district announced an opening to the public through many different avenues. We received 13 applications, and on November 7th, the board conducted personal interviews. One applicant rescinded their application prior to the interviews. And now we will consider the 2 applicants who completed the interview process for position 14. And do I read the names of the applicants for the record? Okay. So do I have a nomination for the position 14 North Clackamas School District Budget Committee? Vice Chairman Aloga.
I first want to mention that we had a lot of wonderful applicants, people that were truly passionate and caring and had wonderful backgrounds, and we would be fortunate to have many of those people serve on the Budget Committee. But tonight, I would like to nominate Keith O'Brien for position 14 for North Clackamas School District Budget Committee.
Thank you so much for the nomination. And do I have another, okay. Okay, thank you. Donna is incredibly helpful. Do I have any other nominations? I have to ask this 3 times. Do I have any other nominations? Okay, do I have any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, this is an action item to appoint position 14, and I believe we will be doing a roll call. Thank you. Director Bauer.
Aye.
Okay. Director Dobson.
Aye.
Director McVeigh.
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay. Director Way votes aye, and Director Benaloga.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so we will now be, oh, I'm sorry, the script is a little, okay. So we are good with the nomination. Okay, so Keith O'Brien will be on position 14 of the North Clackamas School District Budget Committee. Thank you, board. And now we are appointing, sorry. Now we will vote on appointing Ankur Doshi, who is currently a representative of the Educational Equity Advisory Committee, to position 13 of the North Clackamas School District Budget Committee. As required by board policy and Oregon law, a representative of the Educational Equity Advisory Committee serves on the School District Budget Committee. And this will also be a roll call vote. Director Bauer.
Aye.
Director Dobson.
Aye.
Director McVeigh.
Aye.
Director Way, I vote aye. And Director Benaloga.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, board. And so now the board appoints unanimously Ankur Doshi to position 13 of the North Clackamas School District Budget Committee. And I just want to say congratulations to those who were appointed. And again, just to echo Vice Chair Benaloga's comments, we really, really appreciate all of those who applied and just wanted to give their volunteer time and their service and their background to serving on the Budget Committee. We received a lot of great applications, and there are so many other ways to be involved and plugged into our district. So absolutely look for further opportunities to be involved. We also had just a really robust and engaging conversation just now with our legislative contacts about ways that we are bringing family and students and community members to Salem to talk about the need for more resources for all of our students. So lots of opportunities, but thank you again for, yes?
So just in case anyone's wondering, it's a reappointment for position 13, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
correct.
great.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, so thank you again so much. I believe this wraps up our board meeting. I know that we covered a lot of different topics this evening, but thank you again all so much for being here. For those who may be watching online, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. And yes, it is now 7:36. Thank you so much. And this meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors is adjourned.